welcoming song. You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here. You are welcome here, wherever you're going to, wherever you're coming from. You are welcome here, 'cause it's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here, 'cause it's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here. And now in Spanish, bienvenido aquí. Yo quiero que vayas tú, yo quiero que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí, bienvenido aquí. Yo quiero que vayas tú, yo quiero que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí a este lugar de amor, de sueños, de ilusión, a este lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí, si es un lugar de amor, de sueños, de ilusión, es un lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí.
Morning. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united in our desire to grow in love and in service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you're welcome here. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are here with us this morning for the very first time, we're glad you're here. I'm Maria Pia Duffy-Foltz, the worship associate today. Our service is led by our minister, Reverend Sharon Wylie. Our worship musician this morning is John Schultz, and our song leader is Jeff Hayes. Our tech team is Sarah Komnick, Hope Campbell, and Dean Gaudette. Our greeter this morning is Shannon Anderson. Welcome to our Sunday worship service. Welcome to those of you here in the chapel, and welcome to those of you watching on Zoom. For those of us here in the chapel, you'll notice that we have the windows open. This is to ensure good air circulation in the room. There's also 4 air purifiers in the room. Please feel free to leave the chapel if you're uncomfortable for any reason. You'll be able to hear what's going on in the courtyard outside. We're always delighted to see newcomers joining us in worship. As a newcomer, you might be interested in the groups and activities we offer. A good way to get this information is through our email newsletter and e-news calendar. Online newcomers will receive an email invitation to join our email list after the service. In-person newcomers, if you haven't already given us your email address when you signed in, please share it before you leave. Our weekly email is the best way to get information about the many groups and activities we offer here at Chalice. Now, let us take a breath together.
A land acknowledgement is an honest and historically accurate way to recognize the traditional First Nations of a place. It commemorates Indigenous peoples' principal kinship to the land and the fact that they have not been and cannot be erased from their collective First Mother, the land. It is a starting place to change how the land is seen and talked about according to Wanda Nannybush of the Anishinaabekwe Nation in Ontario. For non-Indigenous communities, a land acknowledgement is a powerful way of showing respect and honor for the Indigenous people of the land on which we work and live. It is a way of resisting the erasure of Indigenous histories and working towards honoring and inviting the truth. It is a stepping stone to honoring broken treaty relationships. It is an act of reconciliation. Land acknowledgements are not about placing blame, nor are they intended to restore white comfort. They are prayerful, they are personal, with carefully chosen and accurate language. In honoring Indigenous peoples, we strive to learn the pronunciation of their names. Land acknowledgements recognize how systemic and institutional systems of power have oppressed Indigenous people, and how that oppression has historically influenced the way non-Indigenous peoples perceive and interact with them, in the past as well as in the present. And so, I offer this land acknowledgement. I acknowledge that I live, work, and raise my family on stolen land, the ancestral homeland of the Piamkouicham and the Kumeyaay nations, a people who have been living, working, and raising families on this land of their ancestors for countless generations. People who have an enduring connection to this land that can never be erased. People for whom their deep relationship with this land of their ancestors is inseparable from who they are. People who consider this land and everything around them to be part of their enduring family.
Now we light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. I'd like to invite Dwight Duncan to light our chalice this morning. Our chalice lighting words come from the Oberlin UU Fellowship in Oberlin, Ohio. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also, to be welcoming to whomever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather round this light of hope as we share this time together. The words of our call to worship this morning come from Reverend Liz Weber. Spirit of life, help us to be present with all that is our life, both our deepest sorrows and our greatest joys, so that we can truly live, engaging fully in our own life and in our community. Spirit of community, help us know how linked we are, how each one of our cares touches us all. Help us to ask for support when we are in need, and offer our support to others when we are able, so that we may rest in the solace of one another's love. Spirit of love, and help us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves, so that we might fully embody love and resist hatred. Spirit of resistance, help us to stick up for what is right, even when we are tired or afraid. Help us to dream of the world as it should be and act to bring that world about. Help us to find hope each day. Spirit of hope, help us through this day and each day. Help us to be present for all that is our life. For all this we pray. Amen and blessed be. Please rise in body or spirit to join in singing.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by sharing and honoring our joys and sorrows. Here in the chapel, you are welcome to write your joy or sorrow onto a candle card, which will be collected from you. Online, please write your joy or sorrow, including your name, into the chat box. These joys and sorrows will be spoken out loud, and then we will remove this part of the service from the recording that goes onto our YouTube channel, so this sharing won't be publicly available online. So we have a few minutes of music so you can write down what you would like to share. If you would like to send Reverend Sharon a confidential note about your joy or sorrow, or to make a prayer request, please email her. Her email address will be on screen in a moment.
You I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
All right. And we'll light a final pillar candle for all the joys and sorrows in the room and in our community that may go unspoken and unshared. But these too are held in the love and support of our community. Now I'd like to invite the children and anyone else who would like to come forward for the story. Our story is called Love is Powerful, written by Heather Dean Brewer and illustrated by Lee Win Pham. This story is based on a real event that happened at the 2017 Women's March. Mari spilled her crayons onto the table. They made a messy rainbow. "What are we coloring, Mama?" she asked. Mama smiled. "A message for the world." Mari ran to the window and pressed her nose to the glass. Far below, people walked in different directions. Buses, cars, and taxis honked and grumbled down the busy street. Mari asked, "How will the world hear?" "They'll hear," Mama said, "because love is powerful." Mari climbed onto her Mama's lap. The crayon smelled sharp and new. Mama used one to write some letters. Even though Mama's words stretched across the poster, they would be too small for the world to read, Mari thought. Mari picked up a crayon. As she made her own sign, she imagined her friends in their apartments across the city. Grandma and Grandpa a plane ride away, and all the people in other countries. Mari wondered, how will the whole world see our message? Mama hugged her close. "They'll see," she said, "because love is powerful." Mama handed her a coat, and then they both laced up their shoes. Mari tucked the posters under one arm and held Mama's hand with the other. They slipped through the elevator doors. Down, down, down they went, all the way to the lobby. Mari hopped onto the sidewalk, then stopped and looked up. The street was packed with people, more people than she'd ever seen in her entire life. Mari tugged on her Mama's arm and asked her to kneel down. Then she whispered in Mama's ear, "Mama, it's so loud, and there's so many people. They won't hear our message." Mama said, "They will, little Mari." Mama lifted Mari up, and for a moment she felt like she was flying. On top of Mama's shoulders, Mari could see the crowd swell for blocks. Hundreds and thousands, even hundreds of thousands, of people marching down the street. Some held signs like Mari's, all saying different things. Everyone cheered as they walked together. Mama joined them. Mari bobbed above the crowd like a canary fluttering over trees. She felt as tall as one of the buildings. Mari raised her sign for everyone to see. Even though she was small and the crowd very big, so big she didn't think anyone would hear, she called out her message, "Love is powerful." Through the roar, her voice was heard, and someone shouted the message back. Mari yelled again, "Love is powerful." And more joined in. Again, she yelled the message, "Love is powerful." This time, when the crowd called back, Mari's message rumbled down the street and echoed off the buildings. It was as loud as breaking waves. Love is powerful. And now a note from Mari. She says, I was only 6 years old, but I knew why we were there. Our new president had said some terrible things about women. He made people feel scared and angry. We went to the Women's March, along with hundreds of thousands of people, that cold day to show that love really is powerful. A few of my friends were with me with their parents. We rode the subway from Harlem to Midtown together after spending time making our signs. I made two, Love is Powerful and Be Kind. When we joined the crowd at the march, I couldn't see that well and was tired of walking. My mom lifted me up onto her shoulders as we marched down the crowded streets. When I sat on my mom's shoulders, I felt proud holding the signs I had made earlier that day. When I called out, Love is Powerful, to my surprise, the people close to me repeated it back. Each time I said it, more people joined in. Soon hundreds of people were echoing my chant of Love is Powerful. At that moment, I really felt its power. One voice can be heard, and one voice can make a difference. My advice to you is believe in yourself, be confident, and don't be afraid to speak up. And remember to speak up not just for yourself, but for other people too. Love, Mari.
Walk on your path with a song so sweet that everywhere you go there is love all around. Walk on your path with a song so sweet that everywhere you go there is love all around.
In the book of Luke, chapter 6 in the Christian New Testament, the author relates some of Jesus' teachings. But I say to you who are listening, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also, and from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who asks of you, and if anyone takes away what is yours, do not ask for it back again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. In the Bhagavad Gita, one of the scriptures of Hinduism, it is written, the true yogi, with his heart centered in me, recognizes the self in all beings and acts accordingly. In the Buddhist text, the Anguttara Nikaya, it is written, the one who has excelled does only good for others and treats everyone the same. He has compassion for the whole world. And in the Tao Te Ching, it is written, there is no greater misfortune than underestimating your enemy. Underestimating your enemy means thinking that he is evil. Thus you destroy your three treasures and become an enemy yourself. In this translation, the three treasures of Taoism are simplicity, patience, and compassion. So if you think your enemy is evil, you destroy your own compassion, and now you are an enemy. The golden rule across the world's religions is one many of us know a version of by heart, to treat others as you would like to be treated. But these teachings I've just shared with you are something more complicated, more demanding, more challenging. to love your enemies, to see the divine in everyone, to have compassion for everyone, to refuse to demonize those you would call your enemy. So let's look at that word love quickly. For the Greeks, there were three kinds of love. Eros, romantic love, like we feel for a partner. Philia, a reciprocal love that we feel for friends and family. And agape, love for all humanity. The directive to love our enemies is this third kind of love, agape. This idea of agape love is embedded in our Unitarian Universalist principle to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Many of us understand this principle to be at its heart about social justice, the inherent worth and dignity of the disenfranchised, the oppressed, the marginalized. And yet, we need also to concern ourselves with the inherent worth and dignity of the privileged, the arrogant, the intrusive, or the annoying. The inherent worth and dignity of those who oppose that which we believe in, who would, if given the chance, destroy the ideals that we hold most dear. Agape love doesn't mean liking everybody or ignoring when they say or do bad or harmful things. Agape love doesn't mean letting people walk all over you or abuse you or take advantage of you. What it does mean is recognizing that no matter how terribly someone behaves or how much harm they cause, that they are still a human being, not an animal, and still worthy of being treated with compassion. Agape love, love for all humanity. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke often about agape and told us that agape love is an overflowing love which seeks nothing in return. Not easy. When Dr. King talked about loving your enemies, remember, he knew exactly who his enemies were and what those enemies were willing to do to him and other African Americans. Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also, and from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who asks of you, and if anyone takes away what is yours, do not ask for it back again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. So I'm going to pause here with our thinking about agape love, and hang on, I'm going to come back to it. But I want to get us to why we're talking about this today. Each church year, I pick a topic for a 10-part sermon series for us to study deeply together. We call this our Spirit Study topic for the year, and those 10 sermons are preached once a month from September through June. This year's shortened Spirit Study topic began in November, once I returned from sabbatical. Our Spirit Study has been centered on UU values and covenant, exploring the proposed changes to our UU principles and sources. So if you feel surprised to hear that we've had a Spirit Study topic this year, rest assured that it has been much lower profile than usual. It has felt cumbersome to me to explain in each of these services not only the basic premise of Spirit Study, but the much more complicated information about the possible revision to our UU principles and sources. So we've had 7 sermons. This is the 7th, but I mostly didn't call attention in each service that it was part of Spirit Study. So here's the information about the proposed revision. This is starting to be a more, well, okay, I'll get to it in a minute. In 2017, the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, the UUA, formed a study commission called the Article 2 Study Commission. The principles and sources of our faith tradition are found in Article 2 of the UUA bylaws. So this commission was formed to review Article 2 and to propose revisions that will enable our UUA, this comes from the charge to the commission, will enable our UUA, our member congregations, and our covenanted communities to be a relevant and powerful force for spiritual and moral growth, healing, and justice. That commission has done its work. The first draft of the proposed changes was made public last fall. They received feedback through a series of listening sessions, and a revised draft was published earlier this year in the spring. These proposed changes will be voted on for the first time at the 2023 General Assembly of the UUA, which starts in just over a week. Making a change to Article 2 of the bylaws is a 2-year process, so change will be voted on this year and next year. You don't know what happens until a vote happens, but I'll just say I think most UUs fully expect it to pass this year because UUs like to study and think about stuff, and I think it just requires a majority vote. It's next year's vote. I think it needs to be 2/3. It's a higher bar and it will be the final. So it's next year really that will determine if we're making this change or not. It is the nature of our evolving faith tradition that we periodically consider changing our principles and sources. It's a very big deal. If we adopt this revision, it will be the first change to Article 2 in almost 30 years. But also know that for us, this is routine. We are not a faith tradition that points to any text ever and says, this can never change. The proposed revision to Article 2 identifies 7 shared values: justice, interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and love. We've had services on 6 of these values, and today's service is centered on the 7th, love. So here are some of the words from the proposed Article 2 revision. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant congregation to congregation and through our association to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. End quote. Our own mission statement here at Chalice, written way before we saw this draft proposal, our mission statement begins with the words, "with love at the center." I am struck by the words, "the spiritual discipline of love," and it jumped out at me that I was not sure that UUs have ever used the word discipline before in the history of Article 2. So I looked into it and found that we had. In 1961, in the original bylaws of what was then the newly formed UUA, a merger of Unitarian and Universalist traditions, the first principle, which looks very different from the set of principles we're used to now, so that change happened in 1985. So the original 1961 first principle read that we seek to strengthen one another in a free and disciplined search for truth as the foundation of our religious fellowship. So we do have history using the word discipline, and then there's like a way older history in the 1800s in our Universalist faith, so I'm not talking about that. But we have some history with it. So discipline is a tricky word. It has meanings associated with teaching and learning, with punishment and correction, with rules and regulations, and even a connection with the word disciple, one who follows for the sake of learning. So that sentence again in the proposed revision is, we are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. The phrase spiritual discipline can be used interchangeably with the phrase spiritual practice, but it still feels like a pretty big difference, I think. Spiritual discipline feels different than spiritual practice. A spiritual practice sounds like you're working on it and working on getting the hang of it, you know? The spiritual practice of meditation, the spiritual practice of prayer. Spiritual discipline sounds like a commitment, like you're going to do it even if you don't feel like it. The spiritual discipline of meditation, the spiritual discipline of prayer. Now, as it happens, I have on my wall at home a definition of discipline that is meaningful to me. It is often attributed to Abraham Lincoln, though I can't find evidence that he ever spoke or wrote these words. You'll find it on the internet easily. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. I have that saying on my wall to help motivate me to do tasks that I don't feel like doing, but that need to be done. I pay bills on Monday, for example, whether I feel like paying bills on Monday or not. For me, it is just better to be disciplined about that than wait until I feel like paying bills, which might mean that some bills don't get paid until they're past due, which is not good. So keeping that definition in mind, discipline is choosing between what we want most, what we want now and what we want most. Listen to the Article 2 sentence again. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. That's love with a capital L. So what do we think that might mean, the spiritual discipline of love with a capital L? So could we read it with our definition in mind of discipline, choosing between what we want now and what we want most? Could we read it as the spiritual choice of love? Can we go a step further and read it as the spiritual choice of agape, love for all humanity? We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual choice of agape, love for all humanity. Maybe. Here is why I think agape was important to Dr. King, why it's important to us now, and why love is referenced so strongly in the proposed revision to our values. Because we hurt ourselves when we approach the world with hate in our hearts, with derision, with contempt. Our internet world of social media and 24-hour news means we have lots of opportunities to poke at each other, to laugh at people, to be mean. There's a Buddhist saying that anger is like grasping a hot coal to strike another. You are the one being burned. I think that's true for many of our ugly feelings, that those ugly feelings hurt we who are feeling them more than they have any impact on the people we hate or feel angry with or mean towards. And so I think that this is the spiritual discipline of love, to love our enemies, to see the divine in everyone, to have compassion for everyone, to refuse to demonize those we would call our enemies, to see the inherent worth and dignity in everyone. It is not easy, but that's okay. We aren't here because our ideals are easy to live up to. May we have the courage and discipline to always nurture the love in our hearts, that we may bring more love and compassion into the world. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. You're invited to rise in body or spirit to join in singing.
Love knocks and waits for us to hear, to open and invite. Love longs to quiet every fear and seeks to set things right. Love offers life in spite of foes who threaten and condemn. Embracing enemies, love goes the second mile with them. Love comes to heal the broken heart, to ease the troubled mind. Without a word, love bids us start to ask and seek and find. Love knocks and enters at the sound of welcome from within. Love sings and dances all around and feels new life begin.
The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. As Buddhist teacher Christina Feldman writes, generosity lies at the heart of spiritual practice. Extending generosity to ourselves and others gladdens our heart, is a direct way of healing division, and brings joy. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, know that once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to enter your credit card information. If you have already entered this information previously when you've donated, you won't need to enter it again. If your Sunday donation is part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate pledge after the dollar amount. The phone number for text donations will be on screen in a moment. If you prefer to make an in-person donation of cash or check, there are envelopes and a donation box to the left of the chapel doors. You can leave those donations after the service. Please give generously. Please join in dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. At Chalice UU congregation, our mission is to inspire individual and communal spiritual growth.
Good morning. 11111. There we are. Are we there? Bing, bing, bing. Okay. Thanks. The song I'm going to do is by Roseanne Cash, and as some of you might know, my family and I lived in Alabama from 2017 to 2022. We moved back just over a year ago now, and I got to know of Roseanne Cash's music a lot more while I was there. She really writes a lot about the South and about the experience of being in the South, and she's just a remarkable singer-songwriter. And comes from a pretty famous family too. So, but this song is, I think, really speaks to me about how, as we go through this journey that we're on, our journey of life, in this song she calls it the Great Migration, which I just love. And she just reminds us that all we really carry with us on this journey is love. Hope it works with the theme today. This is our great migration, our mountain and our stone, turning ourselves inside out to find we're already home. This is our deal with the sinners and saints, the law and up above. We'll be crossing to Jerusalem with nothing but our love. Birthdays and babies, the bourbon and the tears, roaring like a hurricane, tearing up the years. Who we are is who we were, and all of you were there. We'll be crossing to Jerusalem. It's nothing we can't bear. Towns through tiny windows, the rooms all look the same. We lost the hands we didn't play, but somehow we won the game. See how the curtain rises, it courses through our blood. We'll be crossing to Jerusalem with nothing but our love. We'll be crossing to Jerusalem with nothing but our love.
Will you pray with me? The words of our prayer come from the Reverend Elizabeth Bukey. Spirit of life, love which holds us, we gather in reverence and thanks for you. We are grateful for the gift of another breath and for each moment of connection, beauty, and truth. Cry with us in our pain for our world. Remind us that we are loved just as we are. Remind us that we are connected with all that is. Remind us that we do not journey alone. Give us what we need for today. Call us back to our promises, commitments, and values. Help us love ourselves and each other and to show that love in our actions. Make us instruments of justice, equity, and compassion. Free us from all that is evil. We declare that life and love are stronger than tyranny and fear, and that a world of beauty and love is coming, and we must shape it together. May it be so. Amen. Again, you are invited to join in singing.
The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love above. And so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Our closing words this morning come from Reverend Jane Ursepka. When all is quiet and we are small and the night is dark, may we hear the tender breathing of all who lie awake with us in fear, that together we may gather strength to live with love and kindness and confidence. Love and blessings to each of you. Blessed be. You are invited to close our time together by singing the well. Please join us on our courtyard, or please return to your seats for an announcement.
We drink from the well together, cool, cool water that quenches my thirst, a thirst thirst for justice, a thirst for joy, a thirst for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well. We drink from the well together. Hand in hand we are standing as one. Standing for justice, standing for joy, stand for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well. Open the doors to the world outside, spirits renewed from within. Look for the dream in each other's eyes, the spark where a new world begins. As we drink from the well together, heart to heart we are dancing as one, dancing for justice, dancing for joy, dance for a love that we're all a part of. We drink from the well, spirits renewed. We drink from the well, stand hand in hand. We drink from the well, dancing for joy. I feel my heart swell. We drink from the well.
Our annual meeting, which will be after our second service. Please enjoy our social hour on the courtyard right now. Thank you.